The Arizona podcast is brought to you by Triumph Protective Coatings. They specialize in concrete polish, epoxy flooring systems, micro top floors and walls, and self-leveling underlays. They service all of California, and they are an awesome company. They speak Spanish, and they do amazing work. Check them out at Triumph_coatings on Instagram. And if you use the promo code ARROWSUP, you get 10% off. So check them out. There was a podcast, solo pod today, and a lot of NBA, mostly NBA, 99% NBA. A little thing on Juedy. And the final thought. Enjoy. Okay. I have to start this pod off with Juedy. And we've had in the NFL the last few seasons these ridiculous contracts giving out to players that are not deserving of the contracts that they're getting. We had Juedy. So let me give you Juedy, then I'll go back. Juedy he's the Broncos wide receiver. He was a disappointment with the Broncos the last few years. He had that big old beef with Steve Smith Sr. Let me add that, put some respect. And he gets traded from the Broncos to the Browns this offseason. And the Browns went on and gave him a 3-year contract extension worth up to $58 million with $41 million guaranteed. That's crazy. That's crazy. There is no reason why Juedy should be making that much money. None. Did the Browns watch football? Do they have an NFL Sunday ticket? You would think NFL teams would get NFL Sunday ticket automatically. What are they doing? Anyway, Christian Kirk. 2 years ago, he got 4 years, $72 million contract. 37 of it guaranteed. And that was one of those like, what is going on? Why is he getting that contract? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And that was one of the ones that it was a head scratcher. And as a 49er fan, it just was super weird because this was the same offseason where Deebo Samuel was up for contract, and then Christian Kirk gets that, and it was like, wait, what? Like, if he's gonna get that, how much is someone like Deebo, someone like AJ Brown? And we saw that those contracts ended up coming in after. And this offseason, we already had the Christian Kirk get his money, and then we had Ridley earlier in the offseason, 4-year, $92 million deal with $46.9 million fully guaranteed. Now, I'm not hating on the money, cash them checks. That's the motto of this podcast. But I don't understand. What are these teams doing? Did the Titans not watch football? Again, did the Titans and the Cleveland Browns not have NFL Sunday ticket? Maybe somebody should let them use a login on YouTube, because that is crazy. And for the Titans, it almost feels like they're fixing one mistake with another mistake. The mistake of getting rid of AJ Brown and not signing him and keeping him long term. And now you're doubling down on that mistake by paying a guy that's not worth the contract, that's not worth this money, Calvin Ridley is a fine wide receiver, but he is not okay for you to pay him this much money. And it's just so crazy. Just the contract he's given. And just to give you some perspective as to where he lands. He's the 10th highest paid wide receiver in all of football, which is nuts. Calvin Ridley is not the 10th best wide receiver in football. He's getting paid more than DJ Moore, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Tyler Lockett. And these are the guys that I'm naming that are better than him. And he's getting paid more than those guys. And that is just insane. Insane that he's getting paid that. Anyway, the real reason why I'm bringing it up is because Brandon Aiyuk is currently seeking a brand new deal with the 49ers. There has been rumors the Jaguars were interested, and supposedly Brandon's representation was interested too. There was the weird Steelers connection today where Brandon Aiyuk was like, hey, Coach Tomlin, they're saying that we look like twins. And finally, Brandon Aiyuk's agent came out and said, well, he's not going to show up to camp unless there's a new deal, and he wants to stay. But, and the speculation of him wanting to go to Jacksonville or Pittsburgh, totally not true. Look, this is how this is going to play out. There's going to be drama. Brandon Aiyuk's probably going to erase all the 49er stuff from his stuff. He might even ask for a trade. You know why? Because this is what Deebo Samuel did. And the 49ers are going to let it just go and stretch and go along. And you're probably going to start seeing your 49er friends say, pay BA, hashtag pay BA. And finally, the 49ers are going to pay him, and he's going to go report to camp, and it's going to be fine. You know why? Because this is what happened with George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. This is just what happens. This is how the 49ers negotiate. The 49ers always want to get the best deal. And this is just what it is. And all the other noise is just part of the drama. So enjoy the drama. But please, David, I know you're going to hear this. Angel, I know you're going to hear this. And any other of my friends, don't text me this news. Oh, Jerry Judy and Brandon Aiyuk hanging out, or Brandon Aiyuk is, might leave here, might leave there. Until it is reported and it is like breaking news, he got traded for whatever. I don't want to hear it. Brandon Aiyuk's going to play for the 49ers for the next few seasons, because that's how this things play out. Let's do some NBA. In the NBA, good game. It was a good game today. All right. Nuggets, T-Wolves, game of the day. The Nuggets are coming off a not big loss, but a highlight loss to the Mavericks, where Kyrie hit one of the most impossible shots ever. Left hand hook shot, going away over Jokic in a game that highlight is still crazy. You haven't seen it, go check out our Instagram page, as it is up there. And in a game where Jokic probably had his worst game of the year, hadn't seen him play that bad in a while, and the Mavericks just did a good job on them. And so you knew going into today. Now, for the T-Wolves, they're coming off of a game yesterday where they won. They beat the Jazz, and Anthony Edwards had probably the dunk of the year. And if you haven't seen that, go to our Instagram page. That's also on there. And so we're going to have Nuggets, T-Wolves today. Now, the T-Wolves are coming off back-to-back games, but they were going to be at home, which is good. Denver was coming off of, after not playing since Sunday, and you knew Jokic was going to come in, and he was going to have a good game, because there was no way he was not going to go in, going for it. And sure enough, he did. 35 and 16, 2 assists. He said, I'm going to kill you by scoring and rebounding. And that's exactly what happened. In a close game where the T-Wolves at the end couldn't hit the shot to tie him, send it to overtime. And this was a game where it had the playoff feel to it. And one of the things about the playoffs, besides the things slow down and whatnot, and defense and stuff like that, quality possessions over and over again become the emphasis, the focus. And if you're able to create in the half court possession after possession where you're getting quality look after quality look after quality look, and you're getting good shot after good shot, those team wins. And the Nuggets today were able to create over and over and over again, possession after possession. They were able to get good shots, and they were hitting those shots. MPJ at the end was just phenomenal. And that was a difference. That was a difference in this game, where Minnesota would get stops, but they couldn't convert. They couldn't get the shots. And that's what scares me about Minnesota as we head into the playoffs. Can they get enough shots? Can they score enough down the stretch when the game is tight? Can they do that? Now, Anthony Edwards is amazing, phenomenal. He's probably going to be that guy. But you need somebody else who's going to be able to create with him, alongside him, because it's going to get too tough. It's going to get too tough in the playoffs. But it was such a good game to watch. It was such a treat to get this one on a Tuesday night. So I wanted to highlight that one. In terms of this in-season tournament, where we're at with the seedings. So the season ends April 14th. That's when the season ends. The play-in tournament starts the 16th, and that goes through the 19th. So April 16th through April 19th, playing game. And we know how this goes. 7, 8, 9, 10, those 4 final spots, they play for what would be the 2 playoff spots, the 7 and 8 seeds. As it stands right now, and the Lakers and Warriors just keep flip-flopping back and forth. So this is where we're at right now. In the West, the 7th seed, the Mavericks, the Suns are the 8th, the Lakers are 9, and the Warriors are 10. Now, depending on after what game, the Lakers and the Warriors have been flip-flopping back and forth. But the Lakers right now are the 9th seed. And if the season were to end today, we would have the Mavericks play the Warriors and the Suns play the Lakers. The Suns would have to beat the Lakers once, and they're in. The Mavericks would beat the Warriors one, and they're in. Now, for the Lakers and the Warriors, they would have to win. They would have to beat the Mavericks, and then they would go on and play a second game to see if they make it. So a lot of stuff, still left to go. There's like 15 games or so, less than 15 games to play. So a lot of stuff still needs to be straightened out. If you're a Laker fan, if you're a Mavericks fan, you need the Suns to lose, the Lakers, the Warriors, the Kings, because they're right on the heels of the Kings. And same for the Suns, the Lakers, the Warriors. And that's what you're rooting for. On the East, we have the Pacers, the Heat, the Bulls, and the Hawks. And the Sixers, who are without Joel Embiid, there was a report, I guess he's practicing, kind of. They asked Nick Nurse, is he going to be back soon? And he was just like, yeah, we hope so, hopefully. So it wasn't like super confident. So the Sixers are in that 7th seed, because I could see the Sixers getting caught and going down. And it's the same scenario. So that's where we're at with those teams. So that's really where we're looking at. The Celtics are going to get the number 1 seed. And, I think the first 4-5 spots in the East are pretty much set. The Knicks and Magic might flip-flop spots just because the Magic have been playing so well, but so have the Knicks. The Knicks have been playing better as of late. And in the West, it's going to be a battle to see who wins the number 1 seed. As of now, it's the Thunder, but you get the Thunder, the Nuggets, the T-Wolves. The Clippers have fallen, but I mean, as much as I would hope that they would continue to fall, I just don't see. I don't see that happening. And then you get the Pelicans that are hanging on, and you get Zion, who's been playing a lot better. He had a really good dunk today, and they're at the 5th. So the first 5 seeds in the West are probably set as well, unless we get like a colossal just meltdown from the Clippers. But even then, everybody behind them would have to start playing insanely better, and that hasn't really happened. And I don't really foresee it happening. Maybe the Mavericks make a push just because they have the 2 guys that are probably the scariest guys out of everybody. So that's where we're at with that picture, with the East, the West, the in-season tournament, and all the seeding. I have 6 points for you. 7 points. First one. The Suns have been struggling, and the Suns haven't looked all that great. I didn't like how they looked on Sunday when Milwaukee just took it to them without Giannis, and just a team that doesn't seem to have heart, doesn't seem to have passion. They don't seem to be a team that is able to just withstand and have a long postseason. It's a very soft and fragile team. And the weird thing is that they've been, for the most part, pretty healthy, I guess, as of late, where they have the 3 guys, Booker and KD and Beal. And somehow they are in the top 5 worst teams in NBA history in fourth quarter scoring, which is so crazy, such a crazy stat. But they're one of the worst teams in the fourth quarter in NBA history, including with those 3 guys. And so I don't know what's going on in Phoenix. I don't know whether it's the chemistry, whether it's, the styles of the 3 guys where they just need more time to gel. And it might be as simple as that, where they're going to need more time and maybe next season they're better. The problem is KD. I mean, but even then, I think if you start using age, LeBron's like 39 and this dude's still like cooking. So it might not even matter. Next year might be the year for Phoenix if it all goes well, because they'll be able to add to the roster a little bit more. But Grayson Allen has been playing well. So it's just a team that it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense why they're not better. Very similar to the Lakers. The Lakers have had, for the most part, AD and LeBron healthy all season. And so it just doesn't make any sense why the Lakers are the 9th seed. Because we all kind of thought like the Lakers were going to be a championship contender. And if we would have told anybody, hey, LeBron and AD for the most part are going to be healthy, they're not going to miss all that many games, where do you think the Lakers are going to be? And I think most people would have said the top 5 seeds, top 4 seeds maybe. And it's like, no, they're 9th again. So it's just weird. It just doesn't make any sense how that is for Phoenix, for the Lakers. But they've been struggling. They're 5-5. The Phoenix Suns are in their last 10 and just not playing really good basketball. Now, the Mavericks on the other side are, I think, the dark horse in the West. And I think I said it when in the pod with Gehrig, and I'm sure I've said it in other pods, where I think this is the dark horse team because of Luka, because of Kyrie, because this is a team that has just the ingredients you need to win in the playoffs. And in the playoffs, you need to make shots, which they have, play timely defense, which now they do, they can. And you got to, at all moments, be able to say you have the best player on the court. And they do. They can say that with Luka. And Kyrie is able to just take that team to a different level offensively and produce moments like he did on Sunday. So watch out for the Mavericks in the West. In the East, it's not as dramatic as the West. The East is pretty much settled. I think the most drama, or the biggest drama that we're going to see is the Heat, because I think, the Heat are like Michael Myers. They're just that team that doesn't die, refuses to die. So that's going to be the key, or the drama, if we're anticipating any. What happens to the Heat? Where do the Heat land? Are they going to play the Bucks again in the first round? Are they going to get the Celtics in the first round? That's the drama in the East. Now, I started with the T-Wolves and the Nuggets. And the T-Wolves, if they had Cat, which is so weird because Cat is someone I don't like as a player. I don't think he's a winning player. I don't think that, it's like the Mike Singletary. Can't win with him. And yet on this team, they need him. They need his offense. They need his ability to stretch the floor. They need him because he adds another dimension, another score to this team that helps Ant. And that's, the basis of why they need him. Now, I don't think, even with Cat, they're not being number, but they would have a chance. They would have a better chance with Cat. And I think that loss is huge. On the other side, the Clippers are 5-5 in their last 10. They've lost 2. They got killed by the Hawks on Sunday. And it's one of those things that Russell Westbrook has been out. And for all the, crap that we've talked about Russell Westbrook and all the criticism we've given him, I think he is exactly what the Clippers are missing at this very moment. And he's hurt, and he's, probably going to come back in a few weeks. But they need just a guy who's going to go in there and just like wreck stuff up and be a complete like maniac and give them energy off the bench. And they just don't have that right now. Last week, Kawhi went out with like back spasms. He left the game early. So it's starting. You're starting to see this like, wave of like, oh man, this is why the Clippers aren't going to win again. There's also the report that came out today that Paul George is being looked at by some contenders, teams with cap space in the East, because the growing idea is if there was an extension waiting for him, he would have signed it already. So the thought is, now, I don't know how crazy this would be, but I don't think the Clippers would choose Harden over Paul George, would they? But that's the growing feeling that the Clippers are going to have to choose between one of the two. They're going to pick James Harden, and Paul George becomes available, and that'd be crazy. I don't think Ballmer would choose James Harden or Paul George, but you never know. Kyrie hits the shot on Sunday. And again, if you haven't seen it, go check it out on Instagram. And Kyrie is one of these guys. He's like your basketball player's favorite basketball player. Whenever you hear, like if you go on YouTube and you search up like who do players say the most talented guy is, and I think it was Complex had this questions where they were asking different NBA players about who the most talented basketball players were. And what was interesting is they all had like the different lists. It was like a list of 5, but most of them mentioned Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie, when you see him play, his game is crazy because he gets to the rim a whole lot, but he doesn't get blocked a lot. And he's not like he's, like a 6'6" guard. He just angles. He knows how to get to the different angles. He knows where to throw the ball off of the glass. And it's just rare when you see Kyrie getting blocked. He can hit any shot. He can turn his dribble into a scoring opportunity at any moment. And Kyrie Irving, it's kind of like that whole the old Allen Iverson thing, where if Allen Iverson was 6'6", he would be like the greatest basketball player ever. And Kyrie Irving is so talented that I think if he was bigger, he might be like who we think Kevin Durant is. And it's just so interesting to hear basketball players talk about Kyrie, because they talk about him with such like respect, and they hold him with such high esteem. And it's probably like the guy with the biggest difference in perception. Like if you hear like a media member talk about Kyrie, it's always like, oh, he's weird. You know, at any moment he's going to say something wild and crazy. And when you hear players talk about him, it's like, oh man, Kyrie's the best. Kyrie is this. It's why like it was always funny to see when Kyrie played the Celtics, because you had Tatum and Brown and all those guys. They always wanted to like hug Kyrie after the game. They always wanted to like chop it up with him. But the fans like hated Kyrie. The Celtics fans were always like booing him. But the players were like, oh man, Kyrie's my boy. He's my guy. So that was always funny, because you just see the distinction between how he's perceived and the differences. But Kyrie, as you see him play and as you watch him, you just appreciate just how talented he is. Because he's not the most athletic, he's not the fastest, he's not the tallest, but his skill is just at a different level. To make the shot he made, follow a left-hand hook shot when he's not a left-hand shooter, and to make it is just crazy. Go try it. Go to the park. Go, if you have a basketball court outside on your driveway, go try that shot and just see. Not even how if you make it, but are you even hit rim if you were to try that shot? Because that shot was so unbelievable. And Kyrie, your basketball player's favorite basketball player. Your favorite basketball player's favorite basketball player is Kyrie Irving. Final thing. Wemby has been, I think ever since January, probably the best defensive player in basketball. Now, the question is, can he win Defensive Player of the Year when he's on a horrible defensive team? Now, I think the season should matter. I think if we're going based on hype, then yeah, Wemby probably deserves the hype because he's been that great. And I already chronicled just how the experience that I had watching him live. But if we're talking about the whole season, it has to be Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert has been the best defensive player all season long, from start to finish. And that should be rewarded. Now, even Wemby said, Rudy should enjoy this one, because once they start winning, I don't know when I'm not going to win it, which is a lot of confidence, and it's cool to see that he has that edge. But I think if you're going to win something like that, I think your team defense has to be better. And so, as great and as special as Wemby is, and I'm sure he's going to, get like 6 of these by the time his career is over. Not this year. Not this year for Wemby. So, that's where we're at. That's where we're at with the NBA. We have a few weeks left. We have less than a month. It's March 19th. The season ends April 14th. So, less than a month to go. We're in the final stretch. And then it's playoff basketball time. And then things get really, really good. By the time you hear this, you would have already got a notification that the Dodgers and Padres started the MLB season. They play 3 a.m. Pacific time, 6 a.m. Eastern time. So by the time you hear this podcast, the game would have been played and the MLB season would have been in full swing. So Super excited for that. And I hope to wake up at 3 a.m. and watch some of it. That's the goal. That's the intention. If not, I guess we'll watch the replay. So, season's upon us. The Dodgers are, again, going to be the most anticipated, the most watched team this season. And today, I talked about this on Sunday with Harry, and Harry sent me this report on Twitter about the Dodgers saying that they have made their channel available to anybody who has Spectrum internet. So if you have Spectrum internet and you don't have their TV, guess what? You can call them and say, hey, how can I get the channel? And you'll be able to watch the Dodgers. So you're welcome. You're welcome. I did that for you. Final thought. This is my final thought. Final thought today, Canelo said that he would only fight Benavidez. I'll read you the quote, actually. I'll read you what he said. Because he was super adamant about it, and it kind of... I was happy that he talked about it because he's doing the pressers now for the Munguia fight. And that's everybody just wants to know, when are you fighting Benavidez? And he says, quote, David Benavidez brings no money to the table for me. Just 25 pounds more on fight night. He's nothing to offer me money. But if one promoter who I work with comes and says, I'll offer you 150 to 200 million, I'll fight tomorrow, end quote. Now, you're going to read this, and people are going to read this, and I'll talk to David about this on the Thursday pod, but you read that and you sit and you think, oh, he's ducking him. Oh, Canelo, just he cares about the money. What about the fans? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. We have to understand this. And I've been very clear. David and I have been very clear about what we want. We want Canelo to fight Benavidez. We both think Canelo can beat Benavidez. Now, we have to understand this. When you get to a certain level as a boxer, you become the business of boxing. Not just for yourself, but for everybody else. And whether people like it or not, those are the rules. Those have always been the rules. And as much as we say, oh, it would be better if this would be like MMA and these guys would fight, just the next big guy and, yeah, I mean, if we're talking about boxing, like in a league sense, yeah, that would be what makes sense. You would fight, the next contender. But when you're dealing with a sport like boxing, that is really just a bunch of independent contractors, because that's what it is. That's what they all are. It's different because Canelo at 34 is doing what Mayweather did, what Oscar De La Hoya did, what Lennox Lewis did, what Sugar Ray Leonard did. He's doing what all the greats did. I'll fight you, and I'll fight the fights that are riskiest if it makes sense financially. And that's where we're at. That's what we've always been in boxing. And so before we want to kill Canelo and crush him and criticize him over him saying, give me 150 million, 200 million, and I'll fight him, understand that this has always been the business of boxing. Canelo is not the first guy to do it. He won't be the last. He didn't invent this. This isn't even ducking. This is him putting the fight out there and saying, hey, there is a price. There's a way to get there. And because boxing isn't like the NFL, where you got Patrick Mahomes and you got Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes and, the 49ers or whatever, and you can just sell that and say, hey, come watch this. It isn't like that because the NFL makes sure to get the story of Brock Purdy out there, Mr. Relevant, and they can do that. But Benavidez, he is well known amongst those that watch boxing, Benavidez doesn't move the needle. And when you're trying to fight a guy like Canelo, you have to move the needle. Or it has to make sense for him. And we may not like it. We might not like those rules, but those are the rules of boxing, and they've always been. And if you want to get a super fight to happen, you got to get a lot of more eyeballs on Benavidez. So everybody that wants Benavidez to fight Canelo, guess what? On his next pay-per-view fight, buy it. Tell everybody to buy it. Because that's how you're going to get Canelo. Now, at 150, 200 million, what that really means is that's 3 million pay-per-view buys at $80. Can Canelo and Benavidez get to 3 million views? Maybe, yeah. That's not too crazy. But you need more eyeballs on David Benavidez. You need the casuals and even the people that don't follow boxing to know who David Benavidez is. Canelo, even if you don't watch boxing, you don't care for boxing, if someone says, hey, you know who Canelo is? They're like, yeah, I know who Canelo is. And Benavidez needs to get somewhere closer to that, where random ladies at the supermarket know who he is. And that's really what Canelo's saying. And so I want to translate that for everyone, because if you just read that quote, you think, dude, this guy doesn't, all he cares about is the money and the business and the money, and that's it. And he's ducking him. And that's not what he's doing. This is the business of boxing. All he's doing is putting the pressure on the promoters, on David Benavidez. Hey, sell yourself more, be better. Because guess what? That's what Gennady Golovkin did. Gennady Golovkin was a big risk for Canelo. And Canelo fought him because Gennady Golovkin made himself popular. And the sport of boxing, unlike any other sport, because it's about independent contractors, because everyone's trying to get paid, it is about who is popular. It is why something like Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, and if you're a boxing junkie, that was a big deal, and that fight was a big deal for all of us. It didn't matter to the people who don't care about the sport. Why? Because those guys are not popular. So if David Benavidez wants the Canelo fight, he's got to get more popular. Not with me, not with you if you watch boxing, not with you if you listen to a podcast about boxing or you watch Ryan Garcia's fight. He needs to get popular with your girlfriend, with your wife, with your mom, with your sisters, with your brother that just plays Fortnite. He needs to get popular. So if you're a Benavidez stan, buy his pay-per-view, buy his shirts, buy his stuff, post them all over your social media. If we want to get this fight, we got to make Benavidez popular. That's all. So, that's the pod. I will talk to you on Thursday with David. That's the pod. We are brought to you by, as always, Triumph Protective Coatings. They specialize in concrete polish, epoxy flooring systems, micro top floors and walls, and self-leveling underlays. They service California, and they speak Spanish. You can follow them, Triumph_coatings on Instagram, and you get a 10% off if you use the promo code ArrowsUp. You can also reach them on Gmail, triumphprotectivecoatings@gmail.com. Thank you to Angel for the music. That was the Arrows Up podcast. I will talk to you on Thursday. David is coming on. I'm sure we'll do more Canelo. I want to pick his brain. I want to read him a list. And we'll talk about friendship, actually. Keeping friendships, maintaining friendships, how to make friends as you get older. So we'll hit that on Thursday's pod. And you can follow us, Instagram, Arrows Up, And you can rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast anywhere you listen to your pod. So please do that. And baseball starts tonight. Well, tomorrow in a few hours. And should be exciting. I wonder if Ohtani hits a home run in this first game. And first at bat. Imagine, first pitch, home run. That'd be a super movie like. But baseball's in full swing. Basketball is getting good. If you watch March Madness, well, that's coming up too. A lot of good stuff happening. So stay with us. We'll keep you all updated on all things. All things. So listen to us. So thank you for listening. I will talk to you on Thursday. Let's go Lakers.